Hi, I'm Don with ECHOMASTER. Today we're going to be installing the ECHOMASTER towing kit for General Motors Silverado and Sierra trucks. For this installation, make sure you have the recommended tools available. Using a small flat blade pry tool, remove the inner handle trim to access the 7mm bolt behind it. Remove the 7mm bolt located behind the inner handle trim panel. Locate and remove the two 7mm bolts at the bottom edge of the door panel. Starting at the front side of the door trim, use a plastic panel removal tool to pry towards you to release the 3 clips attaching it to the door. Once the 3 clips have been released, slide the panel forward and set it aside. Remove the two 7mm bolts located behind the door trim panel. Starting at the top inside edge of the door panel, pull the panel towards you to release the fasteners. Work your way down and towards the rear of the door and then back up towards the door lock post. Once all of the fasteners have been released, lift up on the door panel to remove it from the door. With the door panel still leaned towards you and away from the door, disconnect the door harness. Do this by releasing the red locking tab and rotating the large gray slide lock tab towards the ground. Removing the mirrors. Remove the plastic cap on the upper inside corner of the door to gain access to the factory connectors. Using a small flat blade screwdriver, release the red safety lock and depress the tab to release the connector from the mirror. Remove the 4 13mm nuts from the inside of the door that secure the mirror to the door. When removing the last one, please ensure that the mirror is supported from the outside. Failure to do this may result in damaging the mirror. Pull the mirror away from the door. Installing the camera pods. Slide the camera pod bucket onto the mounting base of the mirror. Connect the camera extension cable and feed it through the notch in the bucket and out the back of the bucket by the mirror's connector. Line up the bucket and the camera pod and snap the two together. Install the 6 Phillips head screws to secure the bucket to the camera pod using a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver. Install the rubber gasket, making sure that the alignment posts line up with the openings in the bucket so that the gasket sits tight against the bucket all the way around. Feed the cable through the harness opening of the door and reinstall the mirror back onto the vehicle, making sure that the bolt studs line up with the holes in the door. At this time, check that the camera extension cable has not been pinched during this step and secure the mirror to the door using the factory hardware. Connect the mirror harness to the mirror and push in the factory locking tab. Secure the camera extension cable harness to the factory wiring using a wire tie. Routing the camera cables. Release the rubber grommet from the door by grabbing and pulling on the attached tab. Route the camera cable down to the grommet removed in previous step, making certain that it's run alongside and secured to the factory wiring. Remove the 7mm bolt securing the speaker, unplug the speaker, and set it aside. This will aid in routing the camera cable in the door. Using a razor knife, make a small slit in the grommet just large enough for the camera cable to pass through. Route the cable through the grommet starting from the back side. Connect the passenger side cable to the camera cable by lining up the arrows and pushing them together until fully seated. Secure the remainder of the camera cable and attach extension cable to the factory door harness using wire ties. Remove the door sill plate using a plastic trim tool starting at the rear of the panel. Work your way forward and release from the kick area. From inside the vehicle, route the fish tape along the factory wiring, exiting the vehicle just below the factory door connector. Grab the fish tape from inside the vehicle and slowly pull the camera extension cable into the vehicle, making certain that the camera extension cable follows the factory wiring in the door. Rear wireless camera receiver. Clean the surface and secure the 3M double-sided tape to the wireless camera receiver. Release the retaining clips and remove the upper trim panel from the C-pillar and route the pigtail cable from the wireless camera receiver. Make certain that the cable is routed behind any airbag hardware that is located in that area. Connect the 4-pin mini DIN cable from the wireless camera receiver to the wireless camera extension cable labeled camera side. Tuck the inline filter box behind the trim panel and route towards the front of the vehicle. tuck the cable behind the trim panels and under the carpet while routing it to the front of the vehicle. Module assembly and installation. At this time, refer to the manual and set the dip switches according to your install. Locate the factory radio brain high in the passenger kick area. Disconnect the gray and black 28-pin connectors along with the LVDS cable. The LVDS connector can be easily identified with the blue cable. Connect the factory gray and black 28-pin connectors along with the LVDS connector to the GMS3 T-harnesses. Remove the 10mm retaining nut from the plastic bracket in the passenger side kick area. Connect the camera extension cables to the module camera harness in their appropriate locations. Connect all harnesses to the GMS3 module. Make certain that all the connectors are fully seated before proceeding with the install. Place the GMS3 mounting bracket onto the vehicle's plastic multifunction power supply converter bracket. Reinstall and tighten the 10mm retaining nut. Connect the two 28-pin connectors along with LVDS connector from the GMS3 T-harness to the factory radio brain. Testing. Before turning the ignition to the on position for the first time after the installation is completed, make certain that the LEDs at the top of the module have stopped flashing. Failure to do this will render the touchscreen unresponsive. If you find that this step was not completed and the touchscreen is unresponsive, turn the vehicle's ignition to the off position and wait until the LEDs have stopped flashing. Then turn the vehicle's ignition to the on position. Once the radio finishes the boot up sequence, press and hold the back button for 3 seconds. The warning screen will appear. Press the OK button. Once the Intellihaul home screen appears, press the corresponding button for the camera you wish to test. Pressing the back button on the radio's control panel will return you to the Intellihaul home screen. Contact your local GM dealer to learn more.